We are very privileged today to have Brendan Lacota with us. Brendan is the Manager of Public Interest Law at Justice Connect, but he has a very diverse background in legal tech innovation and serving the community justice sector. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi.
And congratulations to the Justice Connect team on your most recent award to add to the trophy cabinet.
Yeah, really, very exciting.
It's the Victorian Premier's Design Award, is that right?
Yes, for good service design for some of our tech work, which is really exciting. There's two main parts to it. The first bit is that online intake and triage tool that helps to guide people through our eligibility criteria using simple, plain language, so the person can work out whether or not they're eligible for our services using the online tool and make sure they get directed to the right part of the organisation. And that's all based in a lot of the human-centred design and research that's been done over the years by us and by others around what people find are huge barriers to justice. And that's the way that referrals and intake work. So the front end work, which is consumer facing and help seeker facing, is the gateway and online intake, which is designed to make that easier. And then there's the back end work, which is the portal, which is a piece of work that we have been doing for a number of years that helps users, or helps us work with our member firms, all of our law firms, to work out who wants to do what sort of public interest type referral work, whether that be from assisting someone who's experiencing elder abuse coming through a health justice partnership, all the way through to someone who's currently self-represented in a bankruptcy matter in federal court, through to helping prepare someone fact sheets or other online self-help resources that the firm might have expertise or capacity to assist with. So it's just all about making sure that the people who can get legal help are able to find it more easily, and that people who want to do pro bono can do that as effectively and easily as they can, and making sure that the pro bono that they do is really impactful.
Because that is often so such an issue, is that clients or people experiencing disadvantage trying to access pro bono supports there's no streamlined process of putting them in touch with the lawyers and the firms that are offering those supports. So is that essentially the gap that the portal fills?
Absolutely, and I mean that's been the rationale behind public interest law clearinghouses and for the last 10 years Justice Connect. That's always been the rationale, has been lawyers do huge amounts of pro bono across the profession, but let's make sure that the pro bono they're doing is high impact and it's for the people who need it most. And that's also more rewarding for the lawyers as well as being important for the help seeker themselves. But how do we make that faster, better, more efficient and reach more people so that it's not just the same work going to the same people all the time? It's integrated into the consumer-facing part of things, so help seekers can self-identify and come through to us, and we'll work out whether or not it's something that needs a solicitor or a barrister, or maybe it needs both. For example, a lot of our work in the judicial review space, the person will come through into the public interest law program, and before we go to a firm, we'll get merits advice from counsel as to whether or not the person is likely to succeed on judicial review before we get a firm involved to try and litigate the matter. So that's where the barristers side of things come in. A long-term goal has always been to try and get barristers onto the portal as well. Hopefully we'll get there. Yeah, so we're actually help to coordinate the committee that is the Victorian Bar Pro Bono Committee. So we add secretariat support to help the chair and the members of that committee. So we've been heavily involved with that from the start, including doing some looking at some of the initial prototypes to help them with that from our perspective, taking a human-centred design approach and our experience working directly with users. That work's really interesting because it's focusing on the court's needs and focusing on what does a court and a self-represented litigant coordinator at a court need to be able to send something to barristers, but also thinking about how do we make sure that barristers are aware of what pro bono opportunities are available. because there are so many barristers at the bar. Probably, I think somewhere around 2,000 barristers, something like that, in Victoria. And how does each one of those barristers know what pro bono is available, especially in their area? If they maybe have a smaller practice or an area that doesn't traditionally do a lot of pro bono, tools like that can be really powerful. Yeah, so, and this is something I should have mentioned before in the intake and triage tool. We've also developed a tool specifically for third-party referrers to come to us, and that includes community legal centres as well as other community support organisations who want to work out whether or not one of their clients is eligible for our services. And one of the areas we've been found really tricky is where a community legal centre wants to come to Justice Connect to get a barrister, for example, in an area that Justice Connect doesn't typically assist with, for example, family law, criminal law, or intervention orders. So we've actually had to develop a separate pathway for that through the tool, because none of the eligibility criteria apply. When it's a CLC who's instructing and they're looking for a barrister, it's a very specific request and something that we try and accommodate no matter what area of law it's in. I think barristers in particular are really interested in doing the family law work, but it's difficult to work out the scope of the retainer and where they should be involved and where it's unnecessary or where it doesn't really fit. One of the difficulties that we've encountered with offering pro bono in family law is with solicitors and the scope of retainer, and the difficulty that people have in family law proceedings in doing limited scope work, particularly for solicitors where the court itself is quite strict on notices to ceasing to act and things like that. It's not like the magistrates court where you can sort of turn up one day and not turn up the next and the court doesn't blink an eye, which makes traditional work of community legal sector and of our work as well, which is often limited in scope to particular stages of the proceedings, difficult. I think it has to be a conversation both with the regulator and with the courts themselves, particularly the family court and federal circuit court, because it is an access to justice issue, and not just from free legal services or pro bono legal services, but you look at how commercial services are looking to unbundle or to offer fixed fee or milestone based billing. That becomes really problematic if the person or the firm isn't able to say, we will be able to withdraw at this point, or we can only assist you with this bit here. We can help you with filing, but we can't turn up at court. When the flexibility isn't in the rules, and there's ethical considerations, well then it's an impediment not just to access to justice for pro bono and community legal centres, but also for commercial firms. So Kate Fazio, our head of digital innovation and engagement, has this great story of her going and sitting in the foyer at Fitzroy Legal Service with some paper mock-ups and some cardboard, and basically going up to users in the Fitzroy Legal Service foyer and saying, here, would you like to test our online tool? And the person's looking at pieces of paper and cardboard. So it's really hands-on.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, some really great insights. Thank you for that, Brendan. In terms of what 2019 has produced and where you see things going, what's one of the most exciting projects that, aside from the Gateway project, that's on the horizon?
On the horizon, I think there's three, if I can be so bold.
Yeah, please.
So the first is the portal, the next part of the Gateway project. We've announced that will be rolling out globally, working with PillNet, so that's really exciting. Then there's some work in artificial intelligence that we're very excited about with some funding from the Legal Services Board. So that's looking at, we've got all of this data around how people describe their legal problems. And one of the issues around self-selection of people saying, oh, my legal problem is family law, or my legal problem is property. People often select the wrong thing. Because they might be doing property divorce. The biggest part of their issue is divorce or parenting, but they've selected property because they don't quite fit. What if the person didn't have to understand the legal jargon? What if they could just write what their problem is and we could work it out for them? That's where there's an opportunity for AI and machine learning to start analysing data sets of how help seekers actually self-describe their legal problem, how a lawyer then goes and categorises it, and making sure that the person doesn't need to understand the legal jargon because the computer can do it for them. So that's the second thing that I'm really excited about. And the third piece is doing some direct help seeker facing tech where a person can post legal questions and then a pro bono lawyer can log in and answer it in their own time. So asynchronous legal advice.
Fantastic. Well, good luck with all of those. They sound fantastic. And thank you so much for coming today.
My pleasure. Thank you.